were you called by God to do this, or you went to school for it?
Yes, both. This was a calling from God towards ordained ministry, towards holy orders. I had to go to seminary. I trained at St. Stephen's House in the University of Oxford, and after some grueling, intense time there, I was sent out to a church in London, in a very deprived area of London, for a ministry there for a couple of years, and then I've been called out here to. I'm in Grand Rapids, West Michigan, and I thank God every day that I wake up in a free country.
You in Michigan right now?
Oh yeah,
Oh, you're not
I
over
love
in
it.
England right now. You live over here now in this country?
Yes, yes, I've been here since September. It is
Really?
very humid right now. We're having another heat wave on Thursday.
So you're now living in America. How do you feel about that?
Look, I love my country. I love Great Britain. It is a wonderful, wonderful place. It used to be the greatest empire in the world, and in recent years it's fallen for many reasons, but all due to the enemy. You know, the enemy has lots of tools in his toolbox. One of them is liberalism, the other is Islam. And unfortunately, our governments have been liberal for a long, long time. And part of that liberal policy is in importing vast swathes of Mohammedans who don't share our values, don't share our culture, don't share our faith, and are undermining it at every step of the way. So on one side, we've got the liberals, one side, we've got the Mohammedans. And the England that I grew up in, not too long ago, I was still in my 30s for goodness sake, not too long ago, but is not the England that I recognise now. It has changed so much; it's unrecognisable. Much of it, not all of it.
Yeah.
You know, the major cities all have, pretty much most of the major cities have a Mohammedan metropolitan mayor. London's a good example. President Trump was talking about the mayor of London just last week. Awful, awful man. Doesn't care about British people. Doesn't care about the capital city. Everywhere I look, it's been changed. People, you can walk across London from one end to the other and not hear a single English accent, never mind the English language. It's incredible how much has changed in a short amount of time. And so, in answer to your question, yes, I'm very happy to wake up every day in a free country where people still believe in Jesus, where people still believe in free speech. And I pray and hope and work towards restoring those things in my country too.
Amazing. I want to come back to that. Over in the UK, they have a queen and a king, right? Or a king and a queen. Yeah. Did you pay attention to the king and queen, or that didn't mean anything to you?
I used to love them. I used to be a big royalist, a big monarchist. I went to Her Majesty the Queen's birthday party. I was invited once. It was one of the best days of my life.
And
Actually,
why did you love having a king or a queen?
I love the idea because the Christian concept of the divine right of kings, right? So we have a ruler who also has a ruler. And so our queen, Her Majesty the Queen, Elizabeth II, recognized that she was a servant of God. So she was to serve the people for God, and she was also to serve God. So she understood she was accountable. There's something bigger, someone bigger than herself. I don't know if King Charles III agrees. I think he is obsessed with Islam. I never see him promote Christianity. I always see him promoting Ramadan this, Iftar that. He invites them into the castle to pray with their bums in the air. He's supposed to be the supreme governor of the Church of England, but he's running roughshod over the Christian faith. You know, his title is Defender of the Faith, but I'm not sure he knows which one he's supposed to be defending. So it's good when it works, but when it doesn't work, it's an absolute mess.
It seems as though that family is falling apart. And if it's of God, why is it falling apart?
Well, I suppose you could ask that about the world, right? The world is of God and God made it good, but it's falling apart because of us, because of our fallen nature, because of sin, because we are sinful creatures and we just can't help ourselves. And this is why we need Jesus Christ, because he is the only way. That's the important thing to recognize. I think Her Majesty the Queen recognized that Jesus Christ was the way. She once said, I think it was her 21st birthday, I'll spend the rest of my life serving my nation under God. Whereas King Charles, I don't think he recognizes the supremacy of God. And therefore, we're seeing the results of that. The country is imploding and he's not helping. In fact, he's probably making matters worse.
This same thing is happening here that has happened. I know, but in your area they're protesting now. The people are fed up. The same thing is happening here. So you left a country where that's already falling apart, it seems, but the same identical thing is happening here. How do you feel about that?
Pastor, I think Europe has fallen already. I think many countries in Europe, it's going to be very, very difficult to turn them around. Outside of a miracle, I can't see it happening or a strong revival. But here in the States, you're not as far gone as we are. So I think part of my calling here to the States is to be an advanced warning system to say, look, don't make the same mistakes that we made. You still have a chance here. I really truly think that America is the last stand for for Christendom.
Yeah.
People call it the West these days, but we all know it to be Christendom, right? And
Right.
that's what the West was. America still holds to those values for the most part. And yes, the people are turning a blind eye to the growing problem of Islam. I don't think many Americans realize how bad Islam is just yet, but they still do recognize the problem of, you should have national sovereignty. You should have borders that are protected. If you don't have borders, you don't have a nation. If you don't have a nation, you're not a people. And God made us nations and tribes for a reason. And so we can't ignore these things. But I think most Americans are awake to that. You've got your First Amendment, which means you're always able to call these things out, something we don't have. No country in Europe has a free speech law that doesn't have some kind of caveat for
But if
hate
it
speech.
wasn't for Donald Trump, it will already be over.
Oh,
And
yeah.
so when Donald Trump is gone, his term is up, it's gonna sort of a miracle from God. It's gonna still happen where we will become like the UK and other countries because they have so many foreigners here now. They are letting these foreigners be running government, be in our government, and all kinds of things. So there's nothing to stop it.
That's where it started in the UK. It used to be the law of the land that you had to be an Anglican, you had to be a Christian, you had to be a
Right.
member of the Church of England to run for office, right? To stand for Parliament. They got rid of that law to make things right and diverse and inclusive and all the taglines we hear all the time. And what's the result of that? That people who don't believe in anything or people that believe in bad things, such as Islam, are now able to run. And we've got 15, I think, members of Parliament who are Islamic. Okay, so those are the values that are against the Christian values of our nation, but they're allowed to run. America could learn a thing or two from that as well. America, the 13 colonies were all Christian. Different, one of them, I think Virginia was Anglican, Maryland was Catholic, most of them were Protestant. But that coming together of those colonies came together under Christ, under God, one nation
So
united under God.
what
America
is
needs
it
to
like for
remember
you?
that.
What is it like for you though? You saw the breakdown of the UK. Now you're living here. What is that like
Oh,
seeing the same thing, exact same thing happening here?
I'm optimistic, Pastor, because I think many people, like yourself, many people in America see the problem and they're a bit black-pilled about it. But actually, I've seen it's already much worse in Britain, and so I think things are great here, and it is at a place you can hold on to it. You mentioned President Donald J. Trump. I think that's part of it. So whether people are a fan of him or not doesn't matter. But in Butler, Pennsylvania, we all witnessed what we believe to be a miracle of his life being saved for a purpose. And I don't think it's about him.
Yeah.
I think it's about the American people. Because whether that was a miracle or not, people witnessed it and people have been praying. And because people have been praying, God is hearing them. People in my country have they stopped going to church. They don't go to church, they don't pray, generally speaking. And so God has handed my nation over to our lusts, which this is scriptural, right? Whereas in America, I think people are praying again. As long as they keep praying, it doesn't matter who comes after Donald Trump. Keep the prayer up, and the nation will survive. The nation will thrive, actually.
In New York, it looked like they're going to elect a liberal, socialist, communist mayor of that city. And isn't that part of the downfall of America by bringing in those kind of people too?
Absolutely. If we know anything, it's that you have to look at what the values are of these people, right? So we know that people who follow Christ, who call themselves Christians, follow the one true living God. Okay, so generally speaking, if someone's trying to be a Christian, they acknowledge they're not a good person, but they're trying to be a good person. Now let's look at other ideologies. Islam, the popular one of this potential new mayor and others, founded by who? Muhammad. Okay, so who was Muhammad? Well, he was a warmonger. He spread his ideology through warfare. He broke down Christian and Jewish trade routes in the Middle East. He invaded people, subjugated them, made them pay taxes for not submitting, or just outright beheaded them. He married a girl at 6 years old, consummated that marriage at 9 years old. That's pedophilia and rape. And so if people are following a man like that, what kind of values are they adhering to? I would say not Western values, not Christian values, not American values. And so I don't think that people of the Mohammedan faith should be allowed to run for office. I think
No,
in a Christian country, we should expect Christians to be running for
right.
office.
I agree. I absolutely agree. It doesn't. These people see us as the great Satan, and they see Israel as the little Satan, and that the Christians and the Jews, right? But I don't know if the young people understand that. I don't know if they understand the depths of what they are doing by voting these people into our government. Really, they shouldn't even be living here, but they're here. I
I
don't
agree.
know. I don't think the young voters understand the depths of what they are doing and what will happen as a result of it. I don't think they understand that.
This is part of the problem. So, firstly, I agree they shouldn't be living here, and that goes for my country too. I think at this point to save the United Kingdom outside of a miracle and revival would take a massive political will of mass deportation, and one of the reasons for that, Pastor, is that we've got a massive, they call it Pakistani Muslim grooming gang problem, but they're actually rape gangs. So we've got these vast swathes of Pakistani Muslim men that rape young British girls, right? They rape young white girls because they don't see them as the same as a human being. And so we know that the UK population only is it about 4 or 5% of the population is made up of these Pakistani Muslim men, but they account for 65% of the child sexual abuse. So I would say, okay, so that's the demographic we can't afford to have in our country. Gone, right? Every single Pakistani Muslim, gone. We can't afford it. We can't afford to risk the lives of our daughters, our sisters, right? So mass deportation is part of it. But also the voting. You mentioned the young voters. Why do we have so many, I'm going to say, white liberal women voting in policies that undermine our
Right.
democracy?
Yeah.
One approach might be to repeal the 19th Amendment. One approach might be to say, look, families get a vote headed up by the husband and the father, right? So it's old fashioned, it's the way it used to be, and it's the way
Yeah.
it used to work. And it's not sexist, it's not misogynistic, because the most important unit within a nation is the family, not the individual. That's individualism. You know, we're not commies, we don't believe everyone fits into one camp, but also we're not individualists, as in everyone is their own sovereign person. The family is what's important. And if we want the nation to survive, it has to support families. And to support families, it needs to be families that vote and not these independent, feminazi, white liberal women who are always voting the wrong way.
Amazing.